Incidentally, there's one thing that I always find interesting. We get asked questions about investments we own, and people think we want to talk them up, or we have no interest in encouraging other people to buy what the investments we own. I mean, we are better off because either we or the company is likely to be buying stock in the future. Why would we want the stock to go up if we're going to be a buyer next year and the year after and the year after that? But the whole mentality of Wall Street is that if you buy something, even if you're going to buy more of it later on, or if the company's going to buy its own stock, and the people seem to think that they're better off if it goes up the next day or the next week or the next month. And that's why they talk about talking your book. If we talked our book from our standpoint, we would say pessimistic things about all four of the biggest holdings we have, because all four of them are repurchasing their shares, and obviously the cheaper they repurchase their shares, the better off we are. But people don't seem to get that point. You have any idea why, Charlie?
Warren, if people weren't so often wrong, we wouldn't be so rich.
He's finally explained it to me. Okay. Station 11.
Yes, hey, Warren and Charlie. How are you guys? Congratulations on 50 years.
Thank you.
So in this year's annual letter, Charlie wrote about the peculiar attributes that made the Berkshire system and the leader of the system a historically organizational entity. So my question to both of you is, what practical mental model or mental models would you impress upon a young, enterprising individual at the infancy of their career to build an important, enduring enterprise of that particular distinction and impact? And if you could give maybe some contrasting examples, like why is it Microsoft able to build itself into a dominating monolithic company versus a See's Candy, which can be a great enterprise to spin off cash flow, but not necessarily be an enduring, or not necessarily enduring, but an impactful enterprise to the level of a Berkshire or a Microsoft?
Thank you, Warren.
You're the guy that wrote it.
Yes, well, of course, reputation you get over a long period of time. Very few people are like Charles Lindbergh, where you just suddenly have a great reputation. Most of us have to acquire one very slowly, and that was true in Berkshire's case. And in any individual, you just have to get the best reputation you can in the years you're allotted and the time available. And it may work out well, it may work out poorly, but it's a wise investment. I see all the time opportunities come to people where it's the credibility they've gotten in the past that causes them to have the new opportunity. So I think hardly anything is more important than behaving well as you go through life. And I think we actually try to behave better as we got more prosperous. And I think you'd be crazy if you didn't. So I certainly recommend that you follow those old-fashioned principles. And I don't think there's any way of guaranteeing a total powerhouse brand, nor can, if a result is a 1 in 50 million type result, you're probably not going to get it.
Johnny Agnelli of Fiat, back in, I think it was 1988, I was at dinner with him one time, and he said something to me that stuck with me. He said, when you get old, he says, you'll have the reputation you deserve. He said, he said, for a while you can fool people, but he says, when he was talking about himself at the time, but he said, when you get to be my age, he says, whatever reputation you have, it's probably the one you deserve. And I think the same is true of companies. And frankly, it has helped Berkshire a whole lot. That it has gotten a reputation to be a somewhat different sort of company. I mean, I don't think we set out to do that exactly, but it has worked out that way. Andrew?
This question, which is a little bit offbeat, comes from Jordan Shapoff of Melbourne, Australia. Mr. Buffett, in the foreword to the 6th edition of Benjamin Graham's Security Analysis, you identified 4 books that you particularly cherished. 3 of these books were authored by Graham himself, and their influence on you is well known. The contributions of the 4th book to your thinking, however, that book was Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations, published in 1776. What that book meant to you is seldom discussed. So my question is, what did you learn from The Wealth of Nations, and how did it shape your investment and business philosophy?
Well, it doesn't shape my investment philosophy, but it certainly learned economics from it. And my friend Bill Gates gave me an original copy of it. I was able to study it as Adam Smith wrote it in 1776. It's, there's just, if you read Adam Smith and if you read Keynes, Ricardo, and if you also read that little book we've got out there called Where Are the Customer's Yachts, you will you will have a lot of wisdom. I forgot to mention, I was supposed to mention too, that we didn't want to put it on sale earlier because it would have given away the movie, but we do have Berkshire Bomber underwear out there, or sweatshirts, or whatever it may be. So Fruit of the Loom has those. And we have Fred Schwed's Where Are the Customer's Yachts book, which contains an incredible amount of wisdom in very few pages and very entertaining. But if you want to not only get a lot more wisdom but appear more erudite, you should read The Wealth of Nations also. Charlie?
Well, yeah, guys, is really Warren well. I mean, he is rightly recognized as one of the wisest people that ever came along. And of course, the lessons that he taught way back then were taught again when communism failed so terribly, and people like Singapore and Taiwan and China and so forth came up so fast. The productive power of the capitalist system is simply unbelievable. And he understood that fully and early, and he's done a lot of good.
I took an idea of his on the specialization of labor, and he talked about people making pins or something, but I applied that actually to philanthropy. I mean, the idea that you let other people do what they're best at and stick with what you're best at, I've carried from mowing my lawn to philanthropy, and it's a wonderful thing to just shove off everything and saying somebody else is better than that, and than I am at that, and then work in the field that's most productive for you.
Yeah. You didn't do your own bowel surgery either.
No. I'm not sure I have any reply to that.